So our new watch cat, I showed you this the other day. She showed up. Well, she actually got trapped in the live trap twice. Carolyn put out some food and she started coming around, and now she won't leave the porch. And that's pretty much where she stays all day and all night. When it was hot and sunny, she would go underneath the house. But today it's cloudy and cool, and she has stayed there all day. So I'm glad to have her around. She's diligently watching for things, making sure that nothing comes around. You know, we got to make sure that the rats and the raccoons and all that stuff stay away. So, but she lets us pet her. She won't let us pick her up. We tried to get her to come in the house because I'd like to get her in the house before winter. We put a little food at the door. She came and nibbled on it and went back out. So that's just going to be a process I think we have to work on. May never get there, but that's all right. It's kind of nice to have a cat just show up. But this is an example of what I was saying the other day. People are abandoning their animals. They can't afford to feed them anymore. Things are getting really bad. So kind of going in line with that, I've been talking about the differences between off-grid living and prepping. And I'm telling you, these videos have done just a fantastic job. So much so, the trolls are starting to get panicked. They're trying to figure out how to tear me down. They're telling me all the things that are wrong with my channel, even though I just said that the channel's doing really well with these new videos. So it makes you feel good when the trolls are panicked. Today I got a comment that was very nice, and I'm not going to be able to quote it very well, but she was saying that she'd always liked my channel better than the prepping channels, but she never could understand why. And me explaining the differences between off-grid living and prepping, and why I feel like it's a better idea to off-grid live for the SHTF situation, you know, stuff hits the fan. And I've been going through a lot of these different details and explaining that we're self-sufficient. We're raising our chickens. We've learned how to feed our chickens where we don't have to go to the store, where we can feed it with sunflower seeds. And somebody said, well, why don't you grow sunflower seeds? Well, I thought I had said that several times, but yeah, we're going to try to grow sunflower seeds. It's a little bit late in the year this year, but I think we're going to give that a try. We got an area over there where I was going to grow corn, but since we went on to our carnivorous diet, we decided not to grow the corn. Of course, we could grow corn for the chickens, but I think sunflower seeds would be a better idea because that's got the protein. We got to have sunflower seeds. We don't have to have corn for the chickens. Corn fattens them up for the wintertime so they'll stay warmer, but they got to have protein. Sunflower seeds have 23% protein. Now, of course, we could feed them an egg, but if we do that, we're going to have to get a couple more chickens. We got the 12 that are producing eggs now. We got the Brahmas. They'll be producing eggs in the winter. We're going to get rid of, I think, 3 of them, and then we're going to take the chickens that we incubated and replace those 3 with the incubated ones, and then we'll butcher 15 of them. So if we were going to feed the eggs, because that's 93% protein, then we would have to keep a couple more of those incubated chickens. Of course, we'd like to butcher those or to can some food up. Now, of course, I've said many times, we got 300 jars or cans of food that we canned up, and it's all meat. All of it is meat. We didn't can any vegetables. So carbohydrates are just terrible. And every day I learn more and more about how terrible carbohydrates are for you. Carolyn's been making this spaghetti. It's not spaghetti. We don't use noodles because noodles are just full of carbohydrates. But we got to looking at the spaghetti sauce ingredients that she uses. It's got 13 grams of carbohydrates per half cup. So she was trying to figure out how many cups that she was, half cup she was using. And we're right at 13 grams. Now, if you go on a keto diet, they minimize your carbohydrates down to 50 grams per day. So we're well underneath that. Of course, I like to do better than a keto diet. As we go into this, I'm learning more and more about what's going on in the world and what people are wanting to hear. And one of the things that is talked a lot about in my comment section and other prepping channels is gotta have security. I don't know why they always got to talk in that, gotta have security. And it's a good point, you gotta have security. But again, I keep saying, what's the difference between prepping and off-grid living? Well, here, where I live now, the sheriff never comes by, the police never come by. I bet I can count on 1 or 2 hands how many times I've seen the police around in this area. Now, I've said before that the police have showed up here. They were called in by a guy from California and Tennessee. Because of my YouTube channel, people wanted to turn me in because they just knew I was breaking the law. Of course, the sheriff was real friendly, but after that, I've never seen them. They just never come by. Drive by, nothing. You can go into town and everybody's speeding. I mean, everybody. I've had to get used to maintaining my own security, because the police aren't going to drive by with their spotlights on like they do in a cul-de-sac or something to see if there's somebody misbehaving. I got to be responsible for that. And so I was talking about yesterday, I think it was, that we were going to buy some more alarm systems that we can put around the property. And that way, even if a bear or a deer come around, we'll know about it. I mean, deer, they're not dangerous, but they are detrimental to the off-grid lifestyle. You know, if they get into the chicken feed, or if they tear up the garden. You know, Carolyn still eats vegetables. She likes her vegetables. But the primary thing we want is the tomatoes. Even though we're eating a carnivorous diet, I would say about 90% of our meal is meat, but we still want to flavor it, and tomatoes provide that flavoring. The deer got a hold of her cucumber plant, one of her cucumber plants, so she sprayed some cayenne pepper on it. I've put a radio down there. That seems to have stopped the activity altogether. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier, but see, we're talking about security. And then I got my little camera, trail camera, I stuck it out there to see if the deer swim around. But since I put the radio out, it hasn't come out. Of course, now we got a bear in the area, and that does have me concerned. So again, we got to be responsible for our own security. Preppers, although they'll talk about security, they don't realize all the aspects of security. They don't realize how important it is to have a cat, for example. I never heard a prepper say you got to have a cat. I've heard a lot of people in the comment section say you got to have a dog, but a dog's expensive to feed. And I was telling you that yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday, that with a cat, I don't have to feed it a lot. I can feed it an egg and it'd be fine. A dog, you're gonna have a 50-pound bag every couple of weeks. But the cat is important because they're gonna take care of the little rodents that you're not gonna have the ability to go buy products to get rid of. No mouse traps, unless you have a mouse trap. You're not gonna have mouse traps. You're not gonna have cheese to put in a mouse trap, or peanut butter. You're gonna have to figure out how to trap it if you do have a mouse trap. So having a cat laying around chasing off rodents and snakes, I think that's a pretty significant thing. But that's something that we had to learn to do so we can live off grid. We're already living as though SHTF has actually happened. Whereas preppers, they don't get to test things. They don't get to see, oh man, I got a mouse problem, what am I going to do? I can go buy mouse traps, but wait, I live off grid. I'd rather not go to the store. So security is a huge issue. Just a couple days ago, the county not too far away from us, the sheriff department wrote a memo stating that they are no longer going to patrol their county. They are only going to take calls, and they're going to help you with your problem through the phone. So if you're burglarized or something, they'll probably take a police report over the phone, but they're not going to come out and do an investigation or take fingerprints. So you're on your own now. The only thing they're going to do is come out during a violent crime. They're not going to patrol area for speeders or traffic violations, because they say the gas prices are so high they can't patrol anymore. On a side note, I would like to state, I think that's a bunch of BS, for lack of a better word. They are paid by if I live in that county, the taxpayer, to do a job, which is serve and protect, or whatever it is that they said they were going to do in their campaign, because sheriffs are elected. So this sheriff said, I'm going to protect you. And then gas prices go up, and he says, no, I'm not going to protect you. And like, okay, now what? Oh no, we're all frightened. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And he's just sitting around on his desk collecting a paycheck from the taxpayers who are paying him to do a job that he's not doing. Why not? And I know somebody's going to get me grief for this. Fire some of the police officers and send the rest of them out on patrol. Let's say a police officer, I don't know how much they make, $30,000, $40,000. You get rid of two of them, they're $80,000 that you can put in gas tanks. The other thing is tell the police officers to shut off their cars in the summer, because they got to run the air conditioner. Shut them off. You're wasting gas. There's a lot of things they could do to minimize their expenses. Of course, I always said, why are they driving these big SUVs? High-speed chases aren't really a thing anymore. Most of the time, they just let them go now. So get a hybrid. So we now, as a country, are losing more and more police officers because of this BS that they're pulling over our eyes. Yep, you got to pay us, but we're not going to do the job. So we have to do our own job. and we had to figure out how to take care of ourselves. Now, I'm not big to talk about firearms, but you're going to have to set up a system where you can take care of your security issues. And it's not necessarily just bad people. I mean, of course, yeah, you're going to take care of that too, but bad people hear a gunshot and they might run off, but you got to worry about the bears and the raccoons and the possums and the cats and the dogs. I mean, think about how dangerous a dog is to me. A stray dog, somebody let's say leaves a stray dog out, dog's hungry, Humane Society won't take any more dogs. They're full. People can't feed their dogs, so they release it, just like this cat. They release this cat. Well, then this big dog sees the chickens down there and tears into the chicken run, eats all my chickens, or eats a few chickens. That's detrimental to a person who's living off grid. I got to think about these things. Whereas a prepper, they're not thinking about this. They're sitting around talking about how crazy this is, and we're gonna have to put our foots down, and we're gonna talk about firearms. And I mean, I actually watched this one prepper on video on YouTube take his firearm out of his pocket, pointed at himself, showed it to the camera with his finger on the trigger. He broke like 6 of the 7 rules of safety of firearms. They're just, I'm gonna tell you how to do things. The realistic aspect of life is living right here, off grid, taking care of yourself. So as things get worse, we see it in the cities, crime is way up. They're not prosecuting people anymore. They're releasing people on, what is it, cashless bail or something? I don't know what the heck that is. Well, now we're starting to see it in the country too. So if you'll click that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So if I can inspire you to start thinking about your security so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.